Welcome back. News Central now continues in Southern Africa, where today marks more than a decade since dozens of striking workers were killed, the worst act of police violence since the end of apartheid. On August 16, 2012, 34 people were killed and 78 injured when police opened fire on platinum mine workers who had gathered on a hill near the mine to press demands for better wages and housing. However, 11 years later, survivors and relatives of victims are still demanding justice. Meanwhile, Amnesty International South Africa Executive Director said lack of accountability for victims and their families is a recurring theme in South Africa, and there is need to demand answers as to why it is taking 11 years for the case to be prosecuted, and ultimately accountability for the brutal loss of life. Now, joining me on the news right now is Sibusiso Kasa, Amnesty International South Africa campaigner, who of course joins me now to discuss more on this issue. Thank you for your time, Kasa.
Okay, thank you for having me.
All right, so let's get straight to it. What has Amnesty International's role been in seeking justice for the victims of the massacre?
Okay, well, yeah, first of all, it is really unacceptable that it's now 11 years and there's still no justice for the victims and their families. And we as Amnesty International, what we have been doing over the years is been calling on our government and particularly the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, which is the one that is investigating like alleged criminal activities by the police, for instance, and the National Prosecuting Authority. And we've been engaging with those particular departments or agencies of government in terms of pushing for justice and accountability for these particular families, because now you had 44 people that were killed during that particular strike in 2012, and 34 of them were shot on this particular day, which is the 16th of August. And to this day, you still don't have any justice for them. And the kind of information that we're getting from these particular agencies of government is not really reason. They're not providing with enough reasons that are valid as to why they haven't prosecuted. They haven't had any convictions or even sentencing of any individual. And the worst part, when it comes to the activities or the events that took place on this particular day in 2012, the worst part is that there hasn't even been any prosecution in those particular cases in what is known as Scene 1 and Scene 2 of the events of 2012.
All right, Kasa, I just need to cut in here. I mean, it's taken quite a while, 11 years, for the victims to receive justice. What do you think, are the main obstacles to their path to justice?
The problem is that there seems to be a lack of accountability when it comes to these particular state agencies, because like there's that, as I mentioned earlier on, there's no valid reason as to why they haven't had any particular prosecutions, particularly for the events that took place on this particular day in 2012. Because so far there have been prosecutions of about 9 police officers, of which in some of the cases, like for instance, whereby they were accused of things like defeating the ends of justice and stuff, they were acquitted in 2021, and now you have about 6 police officers and former police officers who are currently going going through trial based on the events that took place before the massacre on the 16th of August. And that particular case focuses on several charges, including murder. And yes, that is currently taking place. But the issue is that even to this day, there's no one who has been held accountable. And this perpetuates the culture of impunity. And what this does in terms of society, it also makes society to lack as in trust in the criminal justice system. And that's where the problem is. And it means that even from the investigation part of things, we need to sort of see both agencies stepping it up and making sure that justice is there is justice for these particular families.
All right. Now, talking about accountability, how's the lack of justice impacted the families of the victims and also the broader, community?
Unfortunately, the audio is not that good on my side, so I couldn't hear your question. But in terms of the impact that this has had, sort of in particular, as I've just mentioned now, there is lack of trust in terms of the criminal justice system, and so this also perpetuates the culture of impunity in our community, and you can't have that if you're a country that believes or has a constitution rather that focuses largely on the rule of law, and you still don't implement the rule of law. Therefore, it means it's a serious problem when it comes to getting justice. So that's why we need both these particular agencies, which is IPID and the NPA, to take urgent action to make sure that these particular families receive justice that they deserve.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Kasa.
Thank you.